Live. We are live. Just double check the app. Boom, we're live. All right. Let me just sort this out. Guys, how we doing? Welcome to It's a State of Mind podcast show. Whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're watching, welcome. I'm with a very old friend of mine who I've known for a fair number of years, and our paths crossed again recently. And Vanessa has a really specific skill set, which I'm going to let Vanessa talk to. And I'm really pleased that she's come on board today to come and talk about eating habits, and so much more. So we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. So Vanessa, if you would love to introduce yourself and what you specialize in and what you're all about.
Hello. So what I do is I help people with their eating issues. So weight loss, binge eating, any like food addiction. And really what I do is I'm a hypnotherapist, psychotherapist. So that means I work on the whole psychology of it, the emotions of it, anything that is, driving your eating habits. So it's really helping you, resolve all of the turmoil, anything that's happening on the inside, our inner world, that's causing our eating on the outer world. And then by resolving that, it helps you to stop your eating issues.
Love it. The brilliant, great introduction. So Vanessa, you come and talk to us, didn't you, in our mastermind? And
I did.
You really helped a lot of the guys out in that respect. What got you into this field? What got you started in this? What was the passion behind the desire to get to know this subject better?
Well, there were like two things, because one, I was working in a corporate environment. I was in recruitment and then did recruitment training. So I wanted to learn hypnotic language to help people learn better.
Yeah.
So it's like, what could I say that people would, soak up what makes it learn? And so then hence I got into hypnotherapy, right? And I loved it so much because I just found it fascinating as to how we can, words and just emotions can really change us.
Yeah.
That I had no intention of doing a whole diploma, but I did it, right? I did
Amazing.
the whole diploma of it. And then I had no intention of setting up a practice. But again, I loved it so much and thought, wow, this is amazing. It can really help people, just change deep-seated habits.
Yeah.
That I set up my practice.
Love it. Well, that's how it happens.
I know, exactly. And then I was like twofold, still a bit in corporate, still a bit in, therapy.
Yeah.
And then I was going through my own health issues, just sort of minor health issues, poor gut health. And that's where everything starts from from your gut. So I really educated myself on, healthy food and healthy living and gut health and body health. And again, I got so into that and so into nutrition and just, healthy living.
Yeah.
That I then was like, well, actually, I could specialize in people who were doing weight loss. And that's what I noticed. Clients were just coming to me for weight loss. And I noticed that actually, one, I could help them on the practical side, but also actually a lot of the time it wasn't about the food. It's about, what's going on behind it.
Okay.
So it just evolved from there. So then I've just, continued to develop myself in that area. And then I got so into that. So I did my psychotherapy diploma as well.
Amazing. It's a great personal development though, right?
Yeah, totally. Which
Brilliant.
Is about going, deeper into the psyche and deeper into, techniques, and also going back to our childhood and how that is the start of everything.
So do you look at that childhood side of thing and you think, do you try to draw out some of the reasons that maybe that we have particular eating habits? Is that fair to say? Is that something you connect the dots with?
Yeah, very definitely. And I think it's very individual, all of this very individual for each person, because somebody might have had something that happened in later life and they can resolve it just by, a few mindset tweaks. So then there's no need to go back to your childhood. It's only if something has been, prevalent for a long time, it's causing them a huge issue. And from working on, the eating side or working on the mindset shifts, it's still not shifting. Then we've got to look at, well, what's happened in your childhood that's causing it? And then sure enough, when you do that, things do start resolving.
Oh, it's really fascinating. It's like science, isn't it? It's almost like deep-rooted scenarios that we might not even give a second thought, but yet they have kind of a huge influence on what we're doing 30, 40 years later, right?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Deep embedded like patterns of thought. So when it comes to guys, let's say what are usually are the top problems that you're seeing with guys when it comes to eating now? Like, you know, I've worked with men for a long time. I've worked with clients for a long time, right? We run the boot camp, and always there's an issue in staying consistent with nutrition.
Right.
When it comes to guys, because we're talking specifically about guys, if I was to just randomly ask you maybe for a top 2 or a top 3 problems that you come across, what would they be? What would you identify them to be?
Is that they can't stop eating.
Yep.
So, you know, but they really want to get on top of their eating or their life, but they just, you know, can't stop.
Yeah.
And then there's also what somebody might call like binge eating or secret eating.
Okay.
So they are like on one side of them eating what they should, but then there's this other side that flips to go, just you know, they let loose.
It's almost like cheating on yourself with naughty.
A little bit.
So you're almost on like, I'm eating really well here, but on the side. Okay.
Yeah. And with that though, you know, comes, I think with guys, what I see is, so with that, let's say, especially binge eating or secret eating, you know, I'm classifying it, they're different things, but the same thing, because they do it a lot in secret.
Yeah.
Comes a lot with, you know, shame or embarrassment or guilt.
Yeah.
So it is a bit like cheating on yourself, because when you might cheat on a partner, hopefully you might feel those emotions, which are a bit psychotic. But so in come those emotions.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, I think, you know, a lot of men especially, but this also applies to women as well, but men especially will then beat themselves up about it. Oh, come on, I should be stronger. Come on, I shouldn't be doing this. Come on, I should just be, you know, focused and doing it. You know, I see a lot of men just going, go ahead. You know, this is what I should be doing, being quite tough with themselves. Because I think
driven by ego.
I think there's ego, yes.
Okay.
But I think also there's the society of, you know, toxic masculinity still, you know, perseveres, where that's how they think that they should be, because that's how they've been taught to be.
Yeah.
Because when they've been any different, they've had, you know, such negative feedback from it that it's like, no, and it's, you know, I want to be the best, and it's not also being the best, they want to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like they think that if I push even harder, it will stop, and it doesn't stop, and then what happens is a cycle, it just gets bigger, worse and worse and worse, until they're like, where do I go?
It's almost like sinking sand, isn't it? When you step in the sinking sand, the more you force it.
Yeah, the more you try to get out, but the quicker you pedal, actually,
the quicker you sink.
Yes. Yeah, I like that analogy.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, you can use that one. Cool. All right. So these are some of the problems that we're seeing. So I don't want to focus too much on the negatives, because I'm always like, I think it's really important, because we don't have a lot of time. I want to be focusing on the positives and the outcomes and what people can do to do it. Now, I know that you've talked about 3 steps, like to be able to get out of this. What would be your first step in terms of like turning this around?
Yeah, I think awareness is always the first step. So awareness with your eating patterns and your habits, because so many times, you know, our eating, it just becomes habitual, doesn't it? We don't even think about it. Yeah. And it's only when, let's say, you've set yourself that goal and you're not there at your goal, and then you'll be like, oh, come on, I've just got to do it. And it's like, hang on, right, let's just stop. Let's just take off the, got to do it. And let's just start looking at ourselves as to, right, what are my eating habits? So you just, you know, I don't know if you practice mindfulness. It's bringing in mindfulness into your eating. Yeah.
Would you say that allowing yourself to be vulnerable, or actually there's a resistance to acceptance that you're not being good enough or you're not eating well enough? Do you think that's a common area of where there's a bridge to gap, really, you know, to bridge that gap between acceptance versus awareness?
Yes. Yeah. I think, you know, when we then start to bring awareness into ourselves, there is this hard bit to face of ourselves that's like, oh, that is what my eating is like. Oh, I do this. You know, we don't want to face it. So it's really easy not to have that awareness and to just keep on that, come on, go. I've just got to eat better. I've just got to do it. but actually
Funny,
that bit is not working.
I visualize it like, so I visualize whenever I talk about self-awareness, I always visualize about an out of body experience. So if you took yourself out of your body, took yourself for a day, and you made notes on yourself as you went along, would you be really surprised about the things that you are eating and the things that you are drinking, but also the things that you're saying and you're doing?
Yeah.
Would you like really be shocked? And I think sometimes taking that being vulnerable like that, looking yourself in the mirror, the accountability mirror, right, it's very difficult to do. It's very
I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, because there's this like, oh God, we have to face the parts of us that we don't like, parts of us that we don't want to admit that we are doing. But that is the first step, the hardest step sometimes. Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
So with awareness being our first step, then what would you then say step 2 is all about?
So once you gain then awareness, the second step is gaining understanding of yourself, right? And you can do this by, I think asking yourself lots of just questions.
Okay.
Like, what's going on for me? So I think the key here is bringing in curiosity. So this is such a shift from the, when we then practice the mindfulness, okay, such a shift from, I'm not good enough, oh my God, it's actually turning that right round to be curious with being able to delve into the parts that we don't like, parts that we're not, that we don't want to admit to ourselves. So we might, what's going on for me is quite a key question. So if you're eating way much, then you should. What's going on for me there? If you are, after you've just done a workout, but then you're shoveling 10 pints down your neck, what's going on for me there? It's that curiosity.
I love the way you say it. I can kind of almost be like, I feel like I'm definitely being told off here, like, why are you being a dick and having 10 pints after a workout?
No, but that's it. It's coming away from telling ourselves off, and it's just like trying to understand that if you drink 10 pints after you've just done a spin class, I know I'm being a bit, exaggerating, but then rather than going, God, I'm a dick and I'm a prat, it's like, okay, right, this is what I'm doing. I'm drinking 10 pints. Why? What? And it's like being that 3-year-old with ourselves.
It's really a good question. It really is so simple, isn't it? It's such a simple question, but like but it's not even just about food. It's like anything. Why do I go and drink alcohol when I get home? Why do I ignore a lot of the mental health issues that I'm facing? Why do I ignore the problems in my relationship? Like, and I always think it comes down to exposure. When we expose our failures and our downfalls, I think it kind of does this vicious circle all the way back to the ego, and maybe the way that you're brought, like what you said, right? Childhood, being brought up that way.
Yeah.
Also not looking like you're the weak foot in, or the weak link in the group, like you're worried, but actually everyone else in the group is probably going through something very similar with you.
Yeah. And I think that even hearing you speak there, I think, what I help a lot of my clients is recognizing that failures, there are no failures. This is just where we are now. And it's just a pattern of behavior that is not working for us right now. And it's the same with, weak spots. Look, we don't look at our behavior as weak spots. Again, it's just a behavioral pattern that we don't like. And we're working on ourselves to change it. And so when we can sort of change that reframe it from failures and weak spots to, it's just where I am at the moment, then it's easier for us to look inwards to help change it.
I mean, we're so aligned. Like for me, failure is an opportunity. I always look at it as I often say to a lot of my guys to fail more, because when we fail more, you shed the skin more and you get to the root cause of who we are. So like failure is always an opportunity to gain valuable experience, right? And gain valuable knowledge about yourself. And, there are actually, if we look at it, sometimes often less wins, but my mum always used to say, like, forward ever forward, failure's a win, failure's a win, failure's a win. And then when you do get a win, boom, you really you separate it, and you're like, man, 20 times I failed at this and now I've made it. And it's like, it really makes you feel inspired, doesn't it? So I think if you have that mentality when it comes to everything, everything will be a game changer, right?
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yes.
Oh, so we've got awareness, we've got understanding, and number 3
is support yourself.
Okay.
And I think this is what I'd love to see more men doing, because the support ourselves is, so once we've gained that understanding and we've been curious with ourselves, you know, not harsh, this is the part where we turn that harshness into being our own best friends, being our own support system. So yeah, if we are, you know, so if we're on that path of the negative part of going, do it, forcing, we've been harsh with ourselves, almost like telling ourselves off, and that doesn't feel good. So guess what? Our unconscious will drive us to do things that feel good. And if eating is what we feel good at, that behavior will drive us to continue eating and continue that pattern.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
So if we switch that around to supporting ourselves like our own best friend. So imagine that, you know, if you're a best friend to somebody and you go, look, it's all right, mate. This is where you are now, but you know, you can do this. I bet you if you took one step in this direction, or I bet if you just changed this habit, you'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, just that changing that voice with yourself.
Yeah. It's the way that you speak to yourself, isn't it? So like what we have, V, is like in the group, or we have this like alter ego mentality, which is almost like we call an elite operator. It's almost the counter to the chimp mode, you know, when you like monkey mind, monkey brain, and like going off the handles. The alter ego is almost like the person in between that is your accountability buddy in your brain. So what you're talking about is connecting to that alter ego that we have, is like, hey, look, don't beat yourself up about this, but hey, next time this is how we can approach it. Or are you happy that you've made that decision or that excuse not to train? Or are you happy? Like, and it's always just, it's the challenge. And I think challenges are really important. You know, you talk about the best friend. We don't always have support around us. We don't always have you as a coach, me as a coach. So one of my rules to always work with me is to meet me halfway. So meet me halfway is having that self-discipline, that self-conversation with yourself to say, do I really need this Belgian? Like every time I go and get a coffee, there's cakes displayed there. And the Belgian bun, the Swiss or the Sticky Willies, like look at me going, you know you want to eat me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to eat you. I don't want to eat you. And like, you want to eat me. And there's just a big conversation going on. And then there is this either victory parade as I'm walking up the street, or I'm walking up the street with my head down going, oh, you fucked up. So that conversation, I think, is really relative, 100%.
Yeah. And I think there's this, you know, prevalent thought that actually if we are nice to ourselves, or if we're kind, you know, to ourselves, that we will end up, you know, letting ourselves off the hook, and we will eat more, or we will just go, oh, that's all right, shovel 10 donuts down your face, you're okay, keep going. It's like, no, we don't, because, you know, when since does a best friend to one another go, it's okay, shovel 10 donuts down your face, you're okay, because then there is a point of us that will go, if I don't want to. So the nice part of ourselves will go, well, what do you want to do? This is like the inner conversation, inner dialogue. You'd be like, actually, I just want to walk away from those. You'd be like, brilliant, walk away then. I think, you know, the nicer we are, supportive we are to one another, to ourselves, we're more likely to achieve those goals and achieve what we want.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like that analogy that you spoke about, I remember listening to a Tony Robbins book, and he was talking about helping a guy stop smoking. So he got the guy to light a cigarette up, and he was turning his eye, he smoked, and he was going, how's it taste like? And he was going, oh, can you feel all the smoke going down your chest? And like, so he's describing, and what he was doing was raising, because when people smoke, they do it very unconsciously, just like eating, right? So he talked about that habit. They don't usually notice. And when he noticed it, he noticed the difference in cigarette, and he said, right, light up another one. And he was like, oh, okay. So by the time he got to the third cigarette, he went, I literally don't want to smoke anymore. And suddenly he went from a state of mind of smoking unconsciously, not recognizing what he was doing, to suddenly going, oh my God, I feel like I've got a chimney in my chest. Do you know what I mean? And by having that conversation, he didn't shout at him. He didn't say anything. He's just saying, how's it taste? How's it taste? Do you like that taste? And it was just a case of, man, he turned that guy, and that guy never smoked. And I think that's the same with what you're saying.
Yeah, do you know what? I love it. Yeah, totally. You know, if we're like shoveling 3 donuts down ourselves after we've just, you know, been somewhere, we could go, what, you know, we would like that mindfulness. So start really noticing the texture in your mouth, start noticing how it feels when it hits your stomach. Because I think a lot of us, you know, are cut off from that feeling, getting ourselves fuller, and then start going, oh, how does it feel? Oh God, I feel a bit sluggish. Oh God, I feel a bit, oh God. And then it's like, why am I doing this? What's this about? And we're like, do I really want this? What am I doing this for? And I'm like, I was doing it to feel comfort, but actually I'm not feeling comfort. Actually, I'm feeling sluggish.
Yeah.
And then the nice part of this comes in, well, what do you really want? Actually, I want to leave it. It's so much easier to then chuck that donut away. But if we were harsh with ourselves, it would just be like unconscious. So yeah, it's that being nice actually allows us to go, oh, this is what I'm doing. It gives us the space to be truthful with ourselves, to be kind, to then that will change our habits.
Yeah. 100%. So when it comes to one of the other big conversations I always have with guys is balance. Okay, so when it comes to wanting to drink alcohol or have a takeaway or anything else, what do you think are, or do you have tips or a mindset approach in terms of getting that balance right? What I mean, is there a right, or is it individual? Like, you know, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, it all depends on that person and what's a problem for them.
Yeah.
You know, so if you are okay with having, you know, 10 takeaways a week, I wouldn't from a nutritional point of view, but you know, but actually you thrive on that, as in you are living your best life, okay, and you are living how you want to live, then fine, why change it? Because you are living, you are happy, right? But you know, as in truly happy, not masked happy. All right. Whereas actually, if you just have, you know, 1 takeaway a week, but you love that takeaway, but it doesn't affect you health-wise, it doesn't affect your, you know, training. In fact, what it does, it just adds to your week as in terms of your mental well-being, then have it. It's just all the time noticing what is right for you and what supports you and what helps you be better, be clearer in your mind, you know, that. So if you notice that 1 takeaway week actually makes you feel sluggish on that Saturday morning, let's just say, see what it's like to give it up. So it's all the time just being that mindful what works for you.
And that really comes back to your step 1, right? And like the awareness, and step 1 and 2 is like that awareness and understanding about what's happening for you. Like, you know, I used to, like, when I was building up my business, I used to use drink a lot to help with the stress. It was just like, you know, that was my relationship with alcohol. You know, when I left the military, the relationship with the alcohol was to forget, you know, and the way that I got off that was that I used to, every time I craved the drink, I used to have this little 5K route that I would run. So every time I was like, oh my God, I need a drink. Because I was going through a lot of stress at the time, I would go for that run instead. So I would replace the habit. So, you know, I remember running 6 5Ks in one day. I was like, oh my God. But that was like, no, it's like, about to see yourself off. But it got me in shape mentally. And but what it's like, you don't have to do that. Like there could be other ways you can do this. And I don't know what your thoughts on this, but like, I know that people use other things. Like, so the minute they crave a drink or they crave something to eat, they will always keep like a little pack of celery to chew on or carrot to chew on, because what it does is they're trying to change the pattern that's going on in their head. You know, it's because I think a lot of people eat out of boredom as well.
Boredom, comfort, you know, feeling better about yourself. They're big sort of things why they eat. Some people have elastic band on their wrist. You know, like you can get those thicker ones, like the for charity plastic bands, so you don't have some girly hair band on your wrist. And you know, you snap it before you go to do a habit, but you've got to get mindful before you can do this. And what really helps is when you are not in that moment of, you know, wanting, let's say, to crave some sort of sweets or something, is you have a bit of a dress rehearsal. So you know that you're going to go and into the coffee shop, let's say later that day, and you know that those cakes are going to be going, eat me, eat me. So you just like that, the hands are going to come and go, eat me. So you have a mental rehearsal as to how you're going to distract yourself So you sort of visualize, right, looking away, you visualize, what am I going to do? How am I going to not look at that? What am I going to do? And then when you come to do it, you have your band to distract you. Yeah. And then you do your that you've just rehearsed mentally, and that helps you.
What do you do? Like when you go to cake shops and their little cake thing, like, Vanessa, come and eat me. Like, eat me. What do you do?
Well, I've paired, right? So because I had really poor digestion, problems, that when I ate cakes or anything like that, it would just sit in my stomach. I would feel sick, and quite a few times I was sick just because I couldn't digest the thing. Or it would sit and I would go straight into a food coma. Like it's like someone gave me an anesthetic. So now when I sometimes look at those things, I sometimes go, oh, I want one. But sometimes I'm like, the feeling of being sick and the feeling of going, oh, it comes straight up. So I keep that quite strong, because then I go, oh God, no, I don't, because I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I wouldn't sort of set that up for yourself.
I feel like, I almost feel a little like you can almost embrace the feeling. Like the biggest time this happens with me is when I treat everybody to a McDonald's, and we have a McDonald's. The minute I've had a McDonald's, I instantly feel sick. Like I'm like, be sick. Like even just talking about, like you do, but you get like even just talking about cakes or any fast food, like, because I'm not in that mindset right now. I don't want it. Like I probably treat myself like once a week because I just want to. But I think when you get in that, when it gets in your head, you start feeling that, like, I call it dirt feeling. I feel like dirt.
It is. It's like that greasy, right? And if you can sort of really picture the grease, imagine the grease and I'm allowed to say shit that it's been cooked in, it's like, it is vile, isn't it? And you stink of coming out of a place like that, right? And it's like, like hot, sweaty gym, but you don't have the euphoric benefits, right? And if you can then really sometimes imagine yourself just swimming in that grease, but it's coming from the inside out, like, the bits of dirt in it. And it's like, really then visualize yourself.
We're getting deep here. We are going deep into visualization.
Then, honestly, then if you can like really have that to the forefront of your mind, the next time you want to go to McDonald's, you're like, oh, I don't want to be like grease swimming around my arteries. Thank you very much.
I think we just put McDonald's out of business. Perfect. Something you've spoken a lot about through the show, and I know time's kicking on. So, what's mindfulness to you?
Oh, so being aware. That's purely it. Being aware.
Okay. And how do you improve that? Like I teach my guys stuff, but for you, what have you done to improve your mindfulness, and what do you do to help clients of yours with their mindfulness?
I really advocate meditating. Isn't everyone's cup of tea, but actually if you can find some sort of way of meditating, that's really then brilliant. You don't have to do it for 10 minutes each day. Even if you just do simple breath work, it's simple sometimes as in, hold, out, hold, that will improve the connection between body and your mind. And it's just by bringing that into the day, it brings us our awareness back to where we are.
I agree.
And it's also just practice. Keep practicing. So it's like, how can I be more mindful today? And it's just everything that you do around your eating, but it's easier to do when you're not stressed, when you're not tired. So practice when you are feeling good, and then it gets better.
In the morning routine.
Feel like when you're feeling good, practice the mindfulness of just how you feel, what you're doing, and just what you're paying attention. That's all it is just noticing. That's one word for it, noticing.
100%.
And so, it's easier,
Is there a particular, because I know that somebody will want to know this, or they probably would ask you this question. Do you have do you believe in particular diets, or do you believe in calorie tracking or Herbalife, or what's your theory on all of those, on the different concepts of eating? Are you just somebody that says eat healthy, eat well, or track your calories when you lose weight? So what are your thoughts?
Well, this be like my own personal sort of, and that's just from my own journey of being, eating a standard diet of like red meat, shitty food. Oh my God, when I was 18, I used to love McDonald's and live in it, and then I got the digestive issues, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I, over a period of 7 years, went from eating, red meat, normal standard, like shitty diet,
Yeah.
called, to being a raw vegan. So
Okay.
it was like quite a transition.
Yeah.
And the only thing that got me out of that was pregnancy and cravings. So I was like, I've got to listen to my body here.
I need it.
Yeah, it was like, no, I needed goat's cheese. And I'm like, I've got to have it. And I just thought, my body's, and this is then I thought, God, actually, this doesn't matter about a diet. You've got to listen when you're in tune with yourself and you know what your body needs. You have to listen.
Yeah.
So my body really wanted goat's cheese, so I ate it. So that was spelled the end of being raw vegan. But I would advocate as much fruit and veg as possible. As much raw fruit and veg as you can possible. Green juice, do lots of juicing, because it really does fill up your cells with that nutritional goodness.
Okay.
Cut out the processed crap and eat as little as red meat as possible. That's really not good for you, because it does sit and putrefy in your guts, really.
I'm going to pull you up just really quick on the gut health, because it's something I really want to get to. Like, gut health for men, I think, is a real issue. I think it's one of the things that I think we don't pay enough attention to. And in a quick fire, what are ways that I'm really putting you on the spot, I know, but what are ways that guys can improve their gut health, and can you explain in simple terms why gut health goes downhill?
Yeah, well, then just start off with, if you can, juice. Juicing your fruit. Now, if you don't have a juicer, then that's going to be hard to start off with. But if you can get yourself a cold pressed juicer, oh my God, juice as much as possible. It's amazing, fills you up. If you're not there yet, just start with the fruit, as much fruit as possible, and vegetables, because that is life force energy. And that, because you're then eating, the enzymes, which helps then give you good bacteria.
Okay.
Add probiotics to your diet as well. And what was the last question?
I guess you've answered it in some ways there. It's kind of like, how do you improve that gut health?
Yeah, right. Start with probiotics. That's the easiest way. You can get them, from a good supplier.
Yeah.
Add loads of fruit into your diet.
Yeah.
And loads of vegetables, if possible raw. And if you can do green smoothies, amazing. And green juices, amazing.
And that's going to help with the gut health, improving the gut health.
Yeah, because it's all about adding that healthy bacteria in. Yeah. It's about the green juices. There's then also helping washing out your stuff that's got, stuck in your colon, that will be multiplying the poor bacteria.
Yeah.
And causing that bloating and that farting and lovely stuff. That juicing is just the fruit and vegetables. You think, we'll clear it all out.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Get on the juicing. So I think in terms of that respect, one of the biggest things for me for gut health was, I changed from normal milk to oat milk. I've always struggled with IBS, from my mid-20s. The minute I went to oat milk, I haven't struggled with IBS once. And I have eggs every morning for breakfast, like Monday to Friday. And it was eggs that I was intolerant to, but it was actually the milk that I used to put in with the scrambled or anything like that. It's crazy. And I drink a lot, and I try to drink a lot. I track my calories, and so I try to get my proteins and my veg in, but I like to get like a good 100 to 200 grams of juice in, definitely, and that has made a real difference in terms of my gut health. And I think as we get older and as men, it's something we need to definitely pay much more attention to for the bigger picture, for the future. Yeah.
I mean, I do quite a lot of celery juicing. It's not for everyone's cup of tea, but for my gut health, that has massively helped. It's a bit like, but but if you don't like that, cucumber, spinach, an apple, and then a lemon. Oh God, that will have you feeling. It gives me a natural high. Yeah. So I don't drink coffee because it's too buzzy for me. Yeah. I can't drink milk because I can't. It's too acidic on the body, and it does cause that poor gut health. So look, a lot of people will start to try and take things out of their diet, as a way to improve it, and then that can feel like restriction, and then that leads to ultimately binging. Yeah. So instead, look at what you can add in. So just focus on adding in those that I've said: probiotics, fruit and vegetables, and juice as much as possible.
Perfect. I love it, mate. I know we both got to shoot in a minute, but I just wanted to say a huge thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's been
So
good fun.
where can people find you or contact you? I know you've got some free resources as well for people to learn. People can listen back to this as well. So where's best to get hold of you?
Yeah, well, I'm on YouTube. My channel is called Mind Behind Weight Loss. On Instagram as well, Mind Behind Weight Loss. And guess what my website is called? Mind Behind Weight Loss.
Cool, that's brilliant. So we'll put some links in the podcast as well, if you're unsure as well. Like Vanessa, you're working with a couple of my guys, or have done with a couple of guys, and I know they are absolutely loving it. I know the guys are really getting a lot of benefit from it. In ways that they didn't even expect, which is amazing, you know, in terms of that mindset. And I think with food, there's a lot more to do with the mind than actually just like, God, you know, I'm tracking my calories or having a juice or doing whatever you're doing. I think that relationship with food is really important. And I think your 3 steps are brilliant: awareness, understanding, and support. I think they really create the pillars of change. And I think as we get older as men, like nutrition has to be up there with our top of our priority list, you know, in terms of things that are happening out there, that, you know, diseases that are happening, in terms of mobility, in terms of functioning. I think it's super important, definitely. So thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. That's been brilliant. Thank you.
Process. I'm going to finish this stream and then we'll chat at the end. So 3, 2, 1. Thank you, guys.